Hi there, welcome to Hunter Gatherer Cooking. I'm still at the Stalking Show 2024. We've met with many guests today, and I'm really pleased and proud and honoured that Joe has driven so far up to see me to be here today. We didn't meet, did we, at the Eat Game Awards, but Joe and the college, Queens College Taunton, won the Champion of Champions Award, which is absolutely amazing. So congratulations to you. But Joe's here, I guess, to talk about what you're doing at the college and things like that. And then eventually we will end up doing something else and coming down to the college and things like that. So,
looking forward to that.
Thanks so much for coming up.
Well, thank you for hosting us today.
Do you want to talk about the awards to start with?
Yeah, well, very privileged. We've been in for running for the education one for the last couple of years, and we're blown away to receive such a prestigious award this year, the actual Champion of Champion ones, which means so much to the pupils at the school. Yeah. They've been working so hard over the season, looking at game, cooking with game, preparing game. We got through 3 whole deer this year, which the pupils skinned themselves, butchered down, and we've been making everything from venison ice cream of all things with coriander. Yeah. The pupils decided to really try and go really extravagant and try and trial out some really strange and weird and wonderful recipes, as well as normal ones. They were making venison sausages as well out of them. We did lovely pan-fried venison on a homemade bruschetta with a homemade mayonnaise, and then with julienne apples, which they got from the orchard at Queens College, and then they put that on the top. So really traditional dishes to something quite strange and weird and wonderful as well. But yeah, using venison in a big way, got through, say, 3 whole carcasses that they managed to butcher down in school as well. So we had them hung in the classroom and then butchered those down, which was amazing. But as well as that, pheasant, partridge. So we got through about 300 pheasant this year.
Wow.
Yeah, and the pupils are doing everything. They're plucking them all, they're taking the breasts off them and then making their dishes out of them as well.
We've spoken probably quite a few times about education and how important it is, and I've said over and over again how important it is for the kids to be learning, and I've mentioned you several times as well.
Thank you.
And it sounds like the college, I mean, you absolutely deserve this, the recognition, and the kids deserve it, but it's so important to have the next generation.
Absolutely.
Not only involved but immersed by the sounds of it.
Yeah, really engaged with the topic area. Really engaged with where their food comes from. And that's the key to what we're trying to do. We're creating a love of food, but a love of where their food comes from. That food provenance and food sustainability is really important to us. That look about where their food comes from, whether it's looking at growing, whether it's rearing, or looking at wild, and even down to foraging. We get involved in that in the Queens College as well. So we do a lot of everything from getting our own wild garlic that we grow on site, to growing our own food in our kitchen garden, to then going out and getting this wonderful produce from all the local areas. So we're getting all of our deer comes from local areas.
I was going to ask where it comes from.
Yeah, so we're all around from Exmoor and down to the Somerset levels. So we use a couple of countryside managers trying to look after the deer numbers on the Somerset levels, trying to protect the areas where otherwise they'd be getting all of the produce there for making baskets and the like. So they're trying to manage the number of deer around there. So we have a lot from Somerset levels and a lot from Exmoor as well when it comes to our game. But it's all local game. Some of it even comes from parents. Some of it we get the game in and then it goes out to parents. So we get so much pheasant coming in during the season that we end up giving it back to parents of the pupils as well. Or, as I was just saying to you earlier, we have our own restaurant that the pupils run. So
tell me more about the restaurant, because that's quite special, allowing students to run it. And I say special, I mean, they obviously do a good job.
Yeah.
I think probably in any other school that could go a very different way, but they obviously manage exceptionally well.
Yeah, and we do try and push the boat out and do those things a little bit different to get our pupils engaged with food and food nutrition, and say that food for provenance and sustainability. So as part of that, we thought we need to see the whole story through. So not only from the animal, butchering that down, preparing all the food and making some wonderful dishes, but then serving that food. Be real proud with the food that they produce in school. So they get the opportunity to serve that food to paying public. So we have a little restaurant space that's, say, completely run and managed by the pupils. They they produce all the food under my supervision, and then they also serve the food as well. So we have them completely in bow ties and little pinafore aprons,
so
and they serve as well.
It's the real deal.
Oh yeah, it's
I'm gonna be seeing. I'll see all of this when I come down.
We are really looking forward to having you down as well. And we have chefs coming down, but it'd be wonderful again to have you down to get another look at where their food comes from. And I guess that's key is seeing those moments of enlightenment when the pupils' eyes are open wide. Those light bulb moments when they see where their food comes from and they see how the food's produced and see those finished dishes. Because so much nowadays they have them in pre-packaged foods.
And that's the problem.
That's exactly
so what are the age groups?
So this is going to really. So at our school, we take them from really early on. We take them from nursery level.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, we do, and we take them right up to sixth form. So then a lot go on to.
So how young might they be when they get exposed to some of this?
Primary school level.
Really?
Yeah.
So
really, we are starting them very, very young, and it is the real basics. Just getting them to taste food. So in the primary school type age is those higher nursery, lower primary school. We're just getting them to try the food, trying food that they may never have tried before.
Right.
So whether that's venison, pheasant, with a duck, whatever the game might be, but actually getting them to try the food for the very first time. We don't force anyone to do it, and obviously in the lower years we won't have the whole carcasses hung. We're not. That may get a little
couple of nightmares there.
Yeah, we want to encourage them. We don't want to discourage them. So no, the lower years it's very much the meat and getting them to try it, the sensory attributes of it. So the smells, the tastes, the textures of the food, and how that compares to what they might have had before. But we don't hide anything. So, and this is a whole school approach.
You've got no reason to hide it.
No.
I think you should be doing the opposite, which is what you are doing.
Yeah, so we do have the braces of pheasant hung there, and they're hung in the classroom, but they're also hung in the dining room as well. So what we serve it and what we're cooking with in the classroom is exactly the same as what you'll find in our dining hall at the lunchtime. So even down to the nursery level, they're still getting that chance to taste the food when they come to the dining hall. They have a taster table there. We've had a couple of venison taster tables where they get to taste the food and they see, and we're the same with the pheasant, and then we have their braces of pheasant hung in the dining hall, and they get to taste that as well as a taster. So yeah, really from the very young years right up to the sixth form, before they go off to do sort of catering colleges, the sort of places where we aspire to send them to, with the likes of Jose, who I know
they've probably got more experience than most of the people that end up going on anyway at that point.
Well, we want to give them that foundation and again that love and that love for where their food comes from. And we do have that huge breadth of education when it comes to food and nutrition at the school. And like I say, like you just said there, it's about not actually discouraging, it's being open to everything. Really, we don't hide anything when it comes to food and nutrition. It's such an important part of what they're doing. I mean, they're eating every day, they need to eat every day to be alive. So yeah, it's a real big important part of what we do.
And the reactions, I mean, kids are kids, aren't they, at the end of the day, but it must be received fairly well. Most of the time?
Absolutely.
And parents are obviously behind this as well.
Yeah, huge buy-in from the parents at Queens College as well. So some of them actually bring their game that they've been out stalking the shooting, and they bring it to us and say, how do you want this? How do we prepare it? What's the best way? So we have adult classes as well, but actually showing them how to prepare the food. So we've had adult classes where we've shown them how to break down birds as well, which is really exciting as well. So it's not just across the age groups, but across the wider community of the Queen's College as well, and involving the parents in. So we do get huge buy-in from the parents as well. I mean, we're quite lucky in the area that we live. Like I say, we've got this rich larder on our doorstep in Somerset, and so they're used to it in a big way. But there are some that have never seen the animals before, and to them, I say, it's that light bulb moment when they suddenly realise where the food they're eating comes from. It's wonderful to see in the classroom.
I was talking to Peter Jones from the Capriolas Club, and again we were talking education, and the younger that someone's exposed to this, the better, because there's no taboos, there's no fears, they understand it, there's nothing wrong with it. It's good that the parents are on board, because without turning this into a moaning session, certain parents can cause issues, can't they? Just because they don't agree or want something, it can cause issues for the wider group sometimes.
you're absolutely right. 2 point, they're like sponges.
Yeah.
The younger they are, they're like sponges. They take on board all this information and they want to know more and they're questioning. So we've had people in from the very people here as well. We've had them in from various different associations, coming in and talking to them and getting them to find out where their food comes from. We've had people who are managing the land come in and talk to them about why we're doing this, because it's only tell them about, we're not just going out there to shoot deer. No. This is part of management and conservation of our area, area that's in, because of the damage that some of these deer are causing right now. So we've had people in to talk about that side of things, and that's been a real eye-opener for the younger people, to get them on board. But again, the parent side of things and getting them on board, we have them, and they really are encouraged to get to come in and get involved in that. To find out a little bit more about where their food comes and how to prepare the food that they're doing. So which is really, really exciting from a parent's point of view as well. We've had no backlash, I suppose you would say, that you might assume might come when you start saying hanging these carcasses.
That's good.
And you don't get it from the pupils either. We've asked the pupils, we've said, how do you feel about this? Do you have any qualms? Do you have any? And they haven't. When we say why we're doing this, say not just from the conservation point of view, from the environmental point of view, finding local food side of things, but what we're doing is we're celebrating the animal as well. We always say that if you're going to get food, you should always go for the best quality food, the local, sustainable food. So when you do that and you celebrate the life of these animals, we're not just going down and getting cheap factory produced food here. We're not going to be going to factory farmed animals. We are going for fresh produced animals. And when they see that, and when they see where we're coming from, again, that creates more of that buy-in from our point of view.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. The golden question: why are all the schools not doing this?
Yeah, and I think,
I know the answers, but really, why aren't they doing it?
It's a very, very good question, and there are these. There's preconceptions, and we try and break those down, but there's preconceptions that other schools come to, and other teachers, food teachers might come to me and say, well, how's it going to be taken? And it's, like I say, it's that approach. It's the education, not just of the pupils, but you need to educate the community, you need to educate the parents about why we're doing this. And shows like this are great for being able to tell people a little bit more of the story about where our food comes from, why we're doing this, what's important about food provenance and sustainability when it comes to game and when it comes to venison and other game as well. So I think it's about that just having that little bit more confidence to actually go ahead, because you'll be so surprised, so many schools will be surprised when they actually start doing this, at how much it's taken on board and how much profiling it gives them to the pupils about what they're doing, preparing their food.
Yeah, we actually had I found it interesting. We had an interesting conversation, and it led on to, you're in Taunton.
Yeah.
We were talking. We didn't name it, but we were talking about London, basically.
Yeah.
And we sort of came to the conclusion that, in some ways, maybe it's more important to educate the city folk without branding them or anything like that, because they're the ones potentially who don't understand what's going on. They don't understand traditions and way of country life and things like that. But again, the kids in the schools and things like that, they assume that it all comes from a supermarket and in packaging and things like that.
Yeah.
And I think that, if more city work was done, I think that that could make some serious impact.
Yeah, it's a real surprise when you start to actually talk to pupils about and ask them, where do you think your food comes from? And I've worked in inner cities, and I've worked in country where we are now in Somerset, in Taunton. But there is still this disparity, there's still this disconnect about where your food comes from. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to do, is trying to rebuild that connection again, whether you're in the city or in the country. I've worked in the schools in the middle of the country as well as in the city, and you still get the same response from pupils when you ask them, at the very young years, where does your cheese come from? It comes from factory. Unfortunately, it probably does at the moment, but actually, where does it come from? What animals?
Yeah. But, there's... Oh, we've got an announcement. We'll hold fire.
Okay. It is a busy show today.
It was even busier yesterday. 1:30 is the deer call.
She needs to have a
David,
go.
the show organiser. He's slowly, bit by bit, losing his voice, I think.
So 1:30, we've got some incredible prizes to give away. 1:30.
They'll all be over there on the screen, and they'll all have their own, you know,
Cool.
devices and hands and things like that. We were doing more of this, obviously, and you know, the noises that were coming out. Like I said, only at the Stalking Show. You won't get that anywhere else.
It's a big thing worldwide. I didn't realise how, you know, go to America
I mean,
and go to Europe.
the beauty of this show is everybody here has a common interest, basically. And every exhibitor is something to do with it. So, you know, you could talk to anyone and, you know, you won't have any arguments. You might have some opinions, which is great. But, you know, everyone is here to support the wider community.
It's going to be a learning curve for me as well, finding out more information and getting more people on board.
Yeah.
If I can get more people into schools again to say what they're doing, and also careers. People don't think about the career side of things, the jobs involved in this. It's like, oh,
Massively.
breadth of
So do
industry.
you, and I'm assuming the answer will be yes, but do you have people come in and talk about their profession, deer stalkers, things like that?
Yeah, so we have a couple of people from Basket come in and talk to us. We've had deer stalkers, country managers who are managing the land as well. And we've had butchers in. So actually one of our ex-pupils who is a butcher in Taunton who supplies us with all of our meat into the dining hall. So I can hand on heart say that the food that comes into our dining hall, whether it's meat, fish, game, whatever it's coming in, is local to us, both in the dining hall and what we use in the classroom as well. And that's, we don't obviously kill on site, but we have an abattoir just down the road, which is run by, let's say, an ex-pupil, so which is great.
Right, okay.
And we feed in, if we are getting beef in, if we are getting any pork in, it comes from local farms within sight of the school. So we can say, when people say, oh, you know, I've got roast beef today, that's fantastic. It'll be from cows from those fields over there on the hill, on sites.
And for me, that's what I love. I love knowing all of that. I like to get down to it and know the story. The better the story, the better it tastes, I find.
Absolutely. You're going to get good quality local, and the local farmers that come to us, the local groups that come to us, the local butchers that come to us, the shops, and say, thank you for supporting us.
Amazing.
We are able to go direct to supplier now, whether it's everybody, I mean, down where we are, we've got a place in Dawlish down by the seafront that does our mushrooms, which is amazing mushrooms that we get into our dining hall, and they supply us, whether it's say.
And so the public can go in.
We encourage the public to come in.
That, I suppose that's the same as Jose's. Can't think of the college now.
Oh, in London, Westminster.
Westminster. Yeah, very similar to that. I mean, you know, back in my day, we didn't have that at all.
No.
Nothing at all. So to me, that is wonderfully alien.
Well, what we're trying to do is what Jose does at college, university style. We're trying to have it at a primary school, secondary school style. So we're trying almost like as if we were feeding in to where Jose's going.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to do for schools and encouraging other schools. So I had 6 other food teachers around the other week to have a look at what we're doing and thinking about, coming back to what you said earlier about how do you get more schools to do it, to encourage them. Other things that they seem to put in place is they say, well, you know, it's a cost implication. Queens College is an independent school. We don't hide away from that side of things. But the food that we're getting in, when you actually start looking at game and you see how much the pheasants are coming in, so you know sometimes we're getting them for free coming in. That people want to show. People want to show the younger generation, so they're willing to donate. And they're willing to donate. They're willing to bring in their expertise, their time, talk about how they get their game, what's involved in their industries to bring in game. Whether it's stalkers, whether it's people who are managing the land, they want to encourage young people in. So they're more than happy to bring in their various pieces of game that they've got, and for us to be able to teach our pupils.
It's giving back, isn't it, at that point?
Absolutely. It's part of a whole cycle, trying to encourage more people to eat sustainably and think about food provenance.
Dear call. I heard raffle tickets. Not quite sure what he's saying. Is there anything else you want to cover?
No, I don't think so. Okay. I mean, if there's anything you wanted to try and get from your point of view.
No, I know what I want to say. Oh, has he stopped? Yeah. So we are going to do something.
We are. We're
We
going to
don't
do something together.
We don't know what that looks like yet. But we are going to do something,
Yep.
so look out for that. I'll announce that as and when it's decided. But it will certainly be a visit to the college to see what they're doing.
And do some cooking with us and the pupils.
I love all of that. I'm really excited by that. My plea would be, if anyone is watching this that somehow has some influence within education and would like to take even an element of what you're doing and help, the next generation and things like that. I hope it's okay to say this, but if you want to reach out to Joe, all your contact details, not your personal one, through the college, that'll be in the description,
Absolutely.
In the video and things. If there's something you want to ask me, then obviously I'll do my best. But Joe's probably the
come down and see us. We encourage more people to come and see us. And like I say, you'll be coming down doing some outdoor cooking with us as well to do the game at some point. We don't
Definitely.
Yeah, exciting. Looking forward to that.
Excellent. But yeah, if there's any questions, let us know. Give the video one of those and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And we'll see you soon for the next video.